New Dimensions Radio has been making a difference on our planet since 1973, thanks to the generosity of our listeners. You too can help make a difference with a tax-deductible donation or membership. Please visit our website, newdimensions.org, and just click the Donate button. We at New Dimensions thank you for your support.
Hello, I'm Justine Willis Toms. Welcome to the New Dimensions Cafe. Today, I'm hosting Mark Nepo, poet, philosopher, and spiritual friend, and author of over 20 books, including You Don't Have to Do It Alone, The Power of Friendship. I'm speaking with Mark at his home by remote connection. Mark, welcome to the New Dimensions Cafe.
Oh, thank you. It's wonderful to be back with you.
It's so wonderful to have you back. I know you speak of friendship as an island of safety, and you've written about many of your friends and many of your experiences of friendship. And you've written specifically, one of the pieces that you wrote was about your friend Robert. And you said, I would never have heard the depth of my own voice if not for his love.
Yes.
I love that. So please share with us your experience of both having friends and being a friend.
Yeah, and I think that this goes to that, it was Thomas Merton who said if we truly beheld each other, we would fall down and worship each other. And I think that one of the first things that any true friend or love does is to bear witness to parts of us that we don't yet see. And this often happens with first love, yes? Where, and of course, as I mentioned with Robert, my lifelong friend, but first with first love, we're young and we fall in love, and your love shows me parts of myself I didn't yet know were there. And often in first love, we think, oh, you have the switch to my light. I can't let you out of my sight. And of course, that's not really loving back. That's actually very self-centered. And the best way that we can honor being loved is to own that light that we have been shown, and to see it and to mirror it and show that in the other person. And so it's true with friendship. Robert and I, we've been friends for going on 45 years, and he and I help save each other's lives. He is 40 years in recovery as an alcoholic, and he was hitting bottom when I was hitting near death in my cancer journey. And so we really helped save each other's lives. And in that depth of truly seeing each other, I was able to see strength that I didn't know I had. And I think I've also given that to him. And, one of the touching moments in our journey, was on the other side of his having gone through being in recovery, and I was on the other side. I had, and still have, it takes years and years, but neuropathy from chemo. And he has neuropathy from being that far extreme in alcoholism that you can get that. And so we were sitting, blessed to still be here, with our numb little fingers, having sandwiches in the summer outside on a bench. And out of the silence, he looked at me and said, I have cancer. And he wasn't saying that he literally had cancer, that by being such a friend, he too had cancer.
Yes.
And I looked at him and said, yes, and I'm an alcoholic. Yes. And, that we could be that deeply in each other's lives that we actually were able to try that on with each other.
Exactly. That also brings me to expand the conversation about how when we're going through something like that with a friend, and you, for 45 years, you've gone through all sorts of weather, let's say, from divorces and deaths and joys and all of it. But if we have a tendency of only going for friendship with those people who are going through the same thing that we are, you give us a caution, I know, in the book, that can tend to limit us that we just rely on that sort of friendship, but it leaves us stranded, so to speak.
So one of the ways that we first experience compassion, understandably, and it's an ongoing apprenticeship, it never ends, is we experience compassion through common experience. You have heartbreak, I have had heartbreak, but that's an apprenticeship. And I think what I found in my life is eventually that enables me what I call the maturing of compassion. How do I have that compassion for people who I have nothing in common with? And my first experience of that was years ago. I was in a restaurant with some friends, and I was, going up to the bar to get more drinks. And as I walked by, there was a vet in the booth by himself. And he was kind of vocal, and, people were kind of staying away from him. And, our eyes kind of locked. And so I wound up talking to him, and I wound up sitting down. And it turned out that he was a medic in Iraq. And, and I said something like, I can't imagine what you must have been through. And he pounded his fist on the table and said, no, you can't. And I took his hand and said, but I'm here. And he wound up sharing his story. And so all of my experience at having compassion through common experience prepared me to have compassion for something I never would have experienced in my life and had no way to understand it directly except through receiving him. And so I don't think we ever stop apprenticing at having compassion. We practice with people that are close to us. And this is how I also mean that by loving one person deeply and completely, we learn how to love everyone.
In that moment, as you describe it, when he said, no, you can't understand, and through your life experience now of trusting the moment, you didn't recoil from him. Yesterday, I was at Trader Joe's and I was checking out. And there was a man who looked as if he might be homeless. He was very scruffy looking, and he was screaming at some woman. He was calling her every name and as he left, I turned to the cashier, and we both put our hands on our heart and acknowledged this man's pain, and we sent him prayers.
Yes. But for a hiccup of God or the universe, we would trade places.
Precisely.
And I would be sitting there and he would be listening to me.
Precisely. Oliver Wendell Holmes Sr. once said, "A man's mind stretched by new ideas may never return to its original dimensions."
That's fantastic.
When we have those moments and we've been stretched by whatever grace appears in our life, we'll never quite be the same.
I think the true call of friendship and love is, often in our insecurity, we want people that we love to stay the same. No, if someone truly loves you, they want you to grow. We mistake being consistent for being reliable. I don't need you to stay the same to think that I can count on you. I need you to show up, and you can grow and change and be all that you want. And it's not about whether you're consistent or you look consistent to me. That leads to, Walt Whitman's wonderful line in Song of Myself. If I contradict myself, I contain multitudes. And to give each other enough room to grow and to try on different things. And so that's part of the listening that is so important in being a friend. I often think that talking out loud, thinking and feeling out loud for a soul is what sketching is for an artist. And so when I listen to you, if I jump in, even out of good intention, I don't give you the space to discover what you know that you didn't know you know.
So you're saying, like, we don't have to share each other's beliefs, but it might benefit us to be curious about your beliefs.
Absolutely. The more I've noticed in my life and in others, that the more centered I am, the more willing I am to let in things beyond what I believe. The more insecure I am, the more I won't.
Exactly. That's where we become isolated. That's the big malady of our times, coming out of the time of sheltering in place and starting to come out into the world again has been a little bit difficult for some of us. I know it's been difficult for me.
Absolutely. And I think that, the pandemic, the isolation, the physical isolation, only, accentuated the isolation that has come from technology and social media. This is why, I think that about us befriending not just each other, but life, which requires us to show up. I think so many people have lost their direct connection to life.
Yes.
All the traditions speak about this and offer different ways to reconnect directly with life. I'll give you an example. My father, who's now gone 10 or 12 years, but when I grew up, he didn't travel very much, but we subscribed to National Geographic because he loved to look at the pictures. And so now in my life, I'm never going to climb Mount Everest, but I can go online and I can look over someone's shoulder with a camera of them climbing it. And that's all fine and good, except I think there's so many of us now who see that and think we've made the climb. I didn't make the climb.
No.
So it's fine for me to experience it as something that I can add to my life, but I didn't make the climb. Friendship, direct friendship, helps us make the climb together, restores that. But, I can watch American Idol or some other show. I even get to vote. And I expend all this energy that I would put into a friendship or a relationship, and then I turn off the TV and I'm just as lonely, except now I'm exhausted.
Yeah, right.
So, like one of the things that, when we are on our devices, especially young people, we're not truly alone and we're not truly in relationship. We're in a digital netherworld.
Yeah.
Rilke, before any of these devices, Rilke wonderfully said in one of his poems, "I am alone, but not alone enough to make every moment holy."
Well, this reminds me of one of your quotes. You say, "I'd rather be a good friend than a saint. I'd rather have my love be counted on than to be brilliant." And here's the culmination of this quote, "I'd rather climb for the view together than dig for truth alone."
Yes.
And I know that you love dogs, and your dog takes you out of the house. You've got to walk your dog and get
Oh, yeah.
out.
And she, if I'm sitting right here at my desk and, all of a sudden she's got her paw on my lap. She says, "I don't know what you're doing, but hug me."
Yeah, there you go. May we all enjoy these kinds of friendships that remind us to breathe together, to love one another, hug one another, take one another for a walk. Thank you so much, Mark, for being with us today on the cafe.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome.
I've been speaking with poet, philosopher, and spiritual friend Mark Nepo, author of over 20 books, including You Don't Have to Do It Alone, The Power of Friendship. To find out more about his work, go to marknepo.com, and he spells his last name Nepo. That's marknepo.com. Or you can get there through the New Dimensions website, newdimensions.org, where you'll find over 1,800 programs in its archive. I'm Justine Willis Toms. I want to thank you for joining us at the New Dimensions Cafe. I invite you, please do join us again.
You've been listening to the New Dimensions Cafe. This series of shorter interviews features many of the remarkable guests also featured on our internationally syndicated one-hour New Dimensions radio series. To access more than 1,000 hours of programs, to subscribe to our newsletters, or to become a member, please visit us at newdimensions.org. New Dimensions Radio has been making a difference on our planet since 1973, thanks to the generosity of our listeners. You too can help make a difference with a tax-deductible donation or membership. Please visit our website, newdimensions.org, and just click the Donate button. We at New Dimensions thank you for your support.